are Gay and Robert. 5 years ago, we quit our jobs, sold our house and all of our possessions, and began living the dream of traveling the world with only backpacks on our backs. After flying over 300,000 miles and visiting 82 countries, COVID brought us to a screeching halt. True to our fashion, we improvised and bought a brand new van and built it out in just 6 weeks to explore the United States until international travel opens up. So this is what we do, a complete compromise, because we're not at a house, we are not at a garage. We are currently at a Home Depot parking lot. Right there, I think you can see it. And what is happening at this Home Depot parking lot is we decided that we're gonna install a diesel heater under the seat in the van, the new van, and since none of the other parts are available, that is where we're gonna start. And it's a good place to start because nothing's in there, nothing's under the seat, and we are gonna show you and demonstrate what it takes to put in a diesel heater under the seat in the Sprinter van. So here we go, guys.
So we're gonna take the seat off here and we're gonna put the diesel heater under here. It's a D2, what we already had, or I guess a 2 kilowatt heater, diesel heater, Chinese one. But we're gonna mount it so we can flip it out to a D4 or a 5 kilowatt in the future. So we're gonna angle it just like we did in the 4x4 Sprinter. And so first thing, we gotta take off the seat. We are not gonna disconnect the airbag cord that goes on here. We're gonna leave it attached because otherwise it flips the air onto the dash. So we're gonna leave that on, tilt this back, get access here. It's pretty easy then. Alright, so last bolt coming out of here. We're going to tip this seat back. There's a long cord that goes for the airbag that we're going to keep attached. And then this pulls out, of course, and then we'll have direct access down in there. So it makes it easy. You can work right from the outside down in there. It's a lot lighter because we don't have the...
You don't have the what?
The swivels. See, this can go. Now you can. We can put it right down at its bottom, carefully.
Yeah, it's super light compared to ours.
Right. No...
I can lift the whole thing myself.
Yeah. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take off this right here, and this will give us, which is a gasket really. This will give us where we need to put our cuts in here. And in the Sprinter, at least this model, the holes will go right in here. And we're going to try and do it this way, angled like this, like we have in our 4x4, so we can put a bigger version of this in there in the future if we want to. But either way, the hole will come out here for the exhaust. The intake, there'll be no hole, just what's right here. So I will pull this off, and then you gotta make sure you orientate that correctly. So it's gonna orientate like that, and pretty much like that, but not quite. More like this, a little bit of an angle.
And what brand diesel heater is this one that we're going to be using?
It's just a Chinese diesel heater. I don't know what brand. I mean.
Oh, Chinese diesel heater.
Yeah, so
gotcha.
We have an S-Bar on our van, the 4x4. This one's just a $150 one. So
compared to the S-Bar being
$1,700 or something. So quite a bit. But this is much less good. You know, the parts are, but it works. It works without too much issue. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark those holes, and then I'm going to hole saw these and regular drill these here, and then regular drill that for this is a fuel line here. You want to go a little, my suggestion is oversize these just a little bit. So I think this is a 1 inch. I bought an 1 1/8 hole saw. I'll oversize these just a little bit. Otherwise, it's more of a struggle to get it in there, and you don't need it. This gasket goes on top of it and keeps out any of the water or whatever. It is possible. So I know that these drill down into opening. Otherwise, you want to go under and look, and I'm going to anyway, I guess, because it's a different vehicle, but it should be fine.
Wow, that was fast.
See, now the hole is quite big, but it still should be fine. So one thing you want to do is you want these shavings out of here. So best thing to do is vacuum it. We don't have a vacuum cleaner, so I'm just going to push them out the bottom. But you want to eliminate all these shavings because they will rust, or better chance of rusting, I guess. But push them out.
So now what we'll make sure we do is we paint the holes that we have drilled to make sure that obviously those holes don't rust. And that is our next step. So painting all the edges here where all the metal is exposed to keep that from rusting over time.
It's the little ones. Get it so it doesn't twist or move. So you want to make sure you have this rubber gasket on here. This will seal the outside from the inside. Just slips on here. And then this just sits in here. If our holes are correct, it should slide in. Alright, so those are in there. Now I'm going to put washers on the bottom and put the nuts. There's 4 nuts, so I'll go underneath and I'll put those on. And that's it for mounting it. And then we'll hook up the exhaust and the air intake on the bottom. It's pretty easy. Then we have to go ahead and put the electrical over to underneath that seat there. So first do this. So now we're gonna attach the exhaust. It just goes right onto the diesel heater here, and with a hose clamp, and then I'll router it out the side in a little bit. So the hose, the exhaust just fits right on this one, which in this case is the one toward the rear. I'll put this hose clamp on it, and that'll be set. This is the air intake. And this little knob over here is the fuel intake. So I'll also put the air intake on in a second. So this is the air intake hose. It's just, this has been used before, but it just goes on to the air intake for the combustion of the diesel. So this will go on the front thing, and I'll push it out that way. It can also come out this way.
And do all of these pieces and parts come with the Chinese diesel heater?
Yeah, most of the time they all come with it. So then this will go on the other side and face that way on the van, which I just showed you with the video. So this is the exhaust for the diesel heater. It just attaches on to the end of the exhaust piping that comes down, and then this will face out below the van. Hopefully we have enough exhaust tube, otherwise we might need to get some, but I will try and attach this now.
What is next on the install?
The next is the pump, which just need to clean up.
Because we're using an existing one
Yeah.
that we had previously.
Right. So the pump you want to install at a minimum of 15 degrees, I believe it is.
Angle.
Right. What other? So you want to do 15 degrees, so that way it lessens the air bubbles. So this is the come in. On one of the times when I put the diesel heater in, I installed this in the seat pedestal. It's a little loud that way, but it's clean. It doesn't get rusty underneath then. So that would just go, this would go in here, and then you can just put this in here. So anyway, this would be the installed. Also have to do the electrical to that seat base under there. And
We will show you the rest of that.
so here's the fuel pump line coming from the top. We're gonna have, instead of having diesel coming from the tank, because this is gas, we'll have diesel coming from a different location, and this connects here. So you can see we have a fuel filter in the front, and then this will be electrical connection here and into the heater. Plenty of room away from this. This doesn't get too hot, plus it's okay to be where it's at. So it's nice and clean. It'll sit in there fine. So doing the putting the fuel pump in, the fuel lines in, this is the fuel line that comes with it, and this is the connectors that go between if you have two sections of fuel line, or connecting to the pump, or connecting directly to the diesel heater. Then there are hose clamps that go onto this. You should have hose clamps that are not like this here. I'll show you. They should be a solid band. They should not have these holes in there. The Chinese diesel heaters comes with these, and the good diesel heaters comes with a solid band. These will work, but with fuel, it's not advisable because it'll break through that hose. So, but that's what we have. So that's what we're using on this one, because it is a Chinese diesel heater. But now I have it all plumbed up, and the next thing to do is to run the electrical then.
All right, next up is I am taking off the driver's seat. Bob is in the hardware store getting some wires. We need to connect both and see where the connections are underneath the driver's seat. So I am going to disconnect the seat itself on the driver's side, so that's ready when Bob gets back out of the hardware store.
So now I'm going to run the electricity. So seeing that we don't have house batteries, I'm going to run it off of the car battery. I think this has a 90 amp hour battery on the starting battery also. So there's this called, I think it's called Bodybuilder down here. And these are 3 different wires that are coming off the engine. One is to detect the start of the engine. One is always on, and I don't recall the other one. But anyway, we're gonna tap into the one that's always on, so always hot, and then we're gonna run a wire from here over to the other seat pedestal. And it's temporary, so I'm gonna do it temporary. I'm not gonna do ring terminals on the end of the wires. We're just gonna use this temporarily until we get the house battery. At that time, we'll run from the house batteries. We'll run like a 4-gauge cable to the seat box, and then we'll put a battery post in there, a bus bar, I guess is what it's called, and then hook it that way instead of having it come off of the starting battery, because this is not ideal. But we also have a voltage limiter, so once the voltage gets so low, it'll stop the Esper heater, or I'm sorry, the Chinese diesel heater from running. So that's what we're doing now.
So we need to remove the rubber flooring so we can get to the wires underneath, and so we can run the wire from one seat over to the heater itself. So I'm going to work on taking this out while Bob works on that over there. So now this area is exposed, so we can run wires from this side to that side underneath the matting.
Okay, so we have it connected. The diesel heater power is connected into the what they call bodybuilder on the Sprinter, which is underneath the driver's seat. It's connected to the center post, which is on all the time, which is what we want. So the so the van doesn't need to be on. That's connected, it's ground. This is temporary. We're going to do it a little different when we actually get the house batteries in, but we have it. So we're going to put the seat back on. I still need to connect it to the power cable to the pump, but that should be easy. And then we will give it a try, see if it works. Alright, so we're going to temporarily try this. We have the fuel line here. We're going to go into the diesel tank here. That's going to be someplace else at some point in time, but this will show us if it works. We have a little hole in the top. Feed it down, make sure it goes into the, oh yeah, I can see it. Make sure it goes in the diesel, and then we're going to fire it up, and we should see the diesel coming through here. It's on. So the glow plug will start first before the diesel heater, or I'm sorry, before the pump will start. Upside down. So this one shows you if the pump is on, which it is now, the glow plug, if that's on. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but your fan, so this gives you a lot more information than ours do. So we have the diesel heater all installed, and the only thing that needs to be left on this is I have a hole in here, but this is 60 millimeter tubing that's coming off the heater. It's very, it's very hot. It's very hot. But this is 90 millimeter, and the reason I did that was it's still wet. We are going to, in case we want to put in the 5 kilowatts or the D4L in the S-Sport, that's a bigger sized hole, and so it's harder to cut a small hole and make it bigger. So I just made it bigger. We're going to get a plate that goes on there, and then this 60 millimeter will just back into the 90, and it'll work out fine. And we'll just duct tape it so it works. That way we can change it out if we so choose. But it's pretty warm in here right now. It's only 45 out, but it's pouring down rain too, so it's moist. This is the controller, and it's not taped on. It's just taped on here, but it's only temporary. But as you can see, it's working good. We've had it running for a good 2-3 hours now, and it works good. The key when you install your diesel heaters, make sure you don't have too many air bubbles. You're going to have some air bubbles, that's fine, or if you can get no air bubbles, that's great, but not too many air bubbles. Make sure that it's pulling. The nice thing with the Chinese diesel heater, at least this controller, is you can prime the pump so you can see it pull in the diesel fuel. On the Esper, what you do is you start it, run it, it says no fuel, you start again, restart, it takes a long time to get that fuel to come through. This one, you do a sequence of things on the controller, and the pump will pump in the diesel through, and you'll see it come through the line. So it was easy. The big thing that we had was trying to get everything not to leak, because the tubes connectors were just a little too big, because we replaced them and we couldn't find any place that had the exact size. All works now. We vacuumed everything out for any of the chips. We painted any of the spots that we had cut through, because you don't want bare metal, otherwise that'll rust. That's all painted, and we use POR 15, which is a rust inhibitor, and you can actually paint that over rust. But otherwise, it's done. This controller will go over in the corner here once we get the build out done. But now when we come back, we'll have a warm van to work in, and it'll make a big difference. And now that we plan on hopefully doing windows. It may not work in the winter, but we'll see in Tacoma.
Considering what it's doing right now, we may not be doing windows.
Well, it's warm enough now. It's supposed to be over 40 degrees.
Seattle's known for rain.
Yeah, so there's a good chance that we'll have a day that it's not rain. But yeah, this is interesting. We've only been here 2 days, and I'm already tired of the rain. So.
All right, that's a wrap, isn't it? It's all done.
It's all done. Yeah.
For now, until we can button it up.
Yeah, the only thing we're going to do is we're going to put the fuel in a proper location. Right now, it's just sitting there, so we'll figure that out later. We're going to hook it to the house batteries, which we will do later. This controller will go someplace, but it's basically, it's obviously it's all working. Now it's just a matter of tweaking it to the build. So, but it was important to get it in here so we have a warm space to work in. So, but that's it. So hopefully you enjoyed another diesel heater
video.
I'm getting pretty good at them. So
yeah, right. You can hire a Bob out to do your.
No, you can't. You can't. But
no, I'm kidding.
But the Esper heater had one little issue. I figured that out, and that's running like perfect. And these run great too. They're super simple, so it's not like I'm a genius on this stuff, because I'm not. They're super simple. It's just you got to know the little bits and pieces, and that helps a lot. But this one hooked up pretty fast outside of the fuel leaks, which I took care of. And so anyway, leave comments below. We'll answer them if you have questions. Give us a thumbs up, please. That helps the channel for sure. And subscribe, because we're going to have a lot more videos going on with the van build and our travels and so on and so forth. So.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys. It sound right, boys.